Jellies and Jelly Spoons, welcome to Friday 5-Minute Facts, a show where we dive into the weird and wonderful and occasionally bloody world of video games. I'm here to guide you through the rabbit hole of the 2000 PC classic American McGee's Alice, a game that takes us down the rabbit hole to a whole new, slightly disturbing level.
Off with their heads!
But I don't want to go among mad people.
American McGee's Alice is a year 2000 PC action-adventure game that offers a dark, psychological reimagining of Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. After a traumatic event leaves Alice in a mental asylum, she returns to a corrupted Wonderland, now a twisted reflection on her shattered psyche. The game blends platforming, combat and puzzle solving, featuring a Gothic art style and a haunting soundtrack. Whilst praised for its unique narrative and visuals, some critics found gameplay less innovative. Despite this, the game gained cult following and inspired a sequel, Alice Madness Returns, in 2011. And I'm here to keep things sane, well, as sane as they can be when you're talking about a game in which Alice wields a butcher's knife. Speaking of which, Pat, what's all this I hear about a statue and bloody skirts? Yeah, let's start with that then, shall we? EA really went all out with the marketing for this game. They supplied Alice statues to select retail outlets, showing her with a bloody knife and a skirt to match. But in Germany, the statue got a bit of a makeover. The knife and the blood were swapped out for playing cards. So apparently in Wonderland it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye and then it's back to cards. Well, I suppose, if you're going to battle the Red Queen, you might as well bring a good hand. The original cover art showed Alice with the same bloody knife and apron, but later releases toned it down. They replaced the knife with an ice wand and in another version a deck of cards. Her apron also went through some kind of magical stain removal process, and even the Cheshire Cat started to look less skeletal. It's if they decided, let's make this nightmare just a tad more family friendly. Come on now, Pat, a clean apron has no fun. I mean, what's that point of an adventure if you can't get a little bit messy? And after all, I've seen what you've done in the staff toilets. Very sorry, lad, I had a rushed lunch. But speaking of messy, did you know that the PlayStation 2 port of this game were cancelled? And that little decision didn't just break a few hearts, it caused Rogue Entertainment to shut down entirely, leaving American McGee furious. The world were robbed of another chance to wield a vaporeal blade on console. That's tragic, Pat. I mean, almost as tragic as when they stopped making those biscuits I really liked. A true loss, Keith. But let's lighten things up with some fun facts. The game originally came with a casebook that detailed Alice's admission to the asylum and her doctor's attempt to cure her. And as if that wasn't dark enough, the game's soundtrack was composed by Chris Verena, former drummer for Nine Inch Nails. A bit of industrial rock to go with your tea, Keith. Fun facts, Pat. Fun. I mean, it's all getting a little bit too intense for me. I'm going to stick to me brews and me badgers, thank you very much. Here's something for the eagle-eyed player. On the load save screen there are 3 buttons: load, save and delete. And next to each button there is a 1-letter abbreviation of the function. Notice anything? It spells LSD, a subtle nod to the trippy, mind-bending nature of Wonderland. Or just a happy accident. LSD? Oh, here's me thinking it was just really strong tea. Despite rumours of poor sales, American McGee's Alice actually sold over 1 million copies on PC, and that's pretty impressive for a game that dives deep into the darker corners of Wonderland. Now, lights, camera, in action. Let's talk about American McGee's Alice the movie that almost was, and then wasn't, and then kind of was again. Ooh! A movie, you say? Did Alice finally make it to the big screen? Or is this one of those lost in development hell stories? Now then, grab your popcorn, because this one has got more twists and turns than Wonderland itself. It all started before the game were even released. Scott Fayer from Dimension Films saw the game's visuals and thought, this would make a great movie. Miramax agreed, even without consulting any directors. I mean, talk about jumping down the rabbit hole head first. Ah, those good old days of making decisions on a whim. So what happened next? Did they roll the cameras? Not quite. Right, on December the 7th, 2000, American McGee officially announced the film, which was supposedly directed by horror legend Wes Craven, with John August writing the script. They even had rumours swirling around about Natalie Portman, Mila Djokovic and Christina Ricci eyeing the lead role. But here's where it gets a bit murky. The project keeps getting shuffled around like a deck of cards in the Red Queen's castle. Oh, it's like a game of musical chairs, but with scripts. By 2005, the film rights had hopped over to Universal Pictures, with Sarah Michelle Gellar set to play Alice and Marcus Nispel directing. Filming was supposed to start in 2006 with a hefty $40 to $50 million budget, but by 2008 the project had hit the wall, with both Nispel and Gellar walking away. Rumours about Jane Marsh playing the Queen of Hearts were also squashed, so we're back to square one, or should I say, back to Wonderland. Yeah, poor Alice. She couldn't even catch a break, even in Hollywood. Fast forward to 2013, when American McGee took matters into his own hands and bought back the film rights through a successful Kickstarter campaign. Fans rallied to raise $200,000, not just to get the rights, but to fund a series of short films called Alice Otherlands. McGee even planned to turn it into a feature film and got a British screenwriter on board in 2014. So did they finally start filming? Well, just like the Cheshire Cat, the project started to fade away by July of 2014. McGee hit a snag. He realised he needed to fully acquire the film rights before moving forward. I mean, he tried to secure the additional $400,000 needed, but by January of 2014, the whole thing was put on hiatus. It seemed that Alice was destined to stay in Wonderland a little bit longer. Poor girl, it's like every time she tries to get out, something pulls her back in. Then, just when you think the story was over, in January 2022, Radar Pictures announced a television adaptation of American McGee's Alice, with Solid Snake David Hayter writing and co-producing. But here's the catch, no broadcaster or streaming platform has picked it up, so Alice is still waiting for her big or small screen debut. Sorry, did I miss the part where Alice becomes a pop culture icon? This game didn't just reimagine Wonderland, it gave it a Gothic twist that's still influencing games and art today, with action figures, statues, a killer soundtrack and a journey through Hollywood as twisted as her adventures in Wonderland. It's no wonder American McGee's Alice remains a cult classic, but who knows, maybe this time she'll finally break free from development limbo and find her way back onto our screens. By September of 2017, American McGee's Alice had sold 1.5 million copies, with 360,000 of those sales in the United States by August of 2006. This made it the 47th best-selling computer game in the US since January of the year 2000. Released in December of the year 2000, the game received praise for its elaborate visuals, which creatively linked Wonderland to Alice's reality, often depicting chaotic asylum-like environments. Although praised for its imaginative art, some critics found the gameplay straightforward. Literary critic Kathleen Martin highlighted how the game's reinterpretation of Alice might encourage players to revisit Lewis Carroll's original work through its darker lens. That's right, lad. So whether you're a fan of twisted fairy tales, dark adventures, or just love a good slice of gaming history, American McGee's Alice is a trip worth taking. And if you're as curious as Alice as to what happens next, make sure you like the video, share it with your chums and subscribe to the channel, because you won't want to miss our next journey down the rabbit hole after all, would you? No, you wouldn't. Anyway, see you soon.